Hello everyone, this is David Pike, the Motorcity Mechanic. Today we're going to do a special request video. This video is in response to a question that was posed by John Edge. In it, John had wrote, "Have you made a video about removing the 8.4-inch screen from the Jeep Cherokee? I assume some of the initial steps would be the same, but I'm wondering if the screws are in the same place, etc." Well, John, what I wanted to do was do a follow-up video specifically about the removal of that radio from the vehicle you mentioned. So that's what we've got here today, everyone, is a video on that. So once again, any suggestions, comments that you pose do get read, and from time to time videos do get made based off of that. A lot of it is whether or not I have that vehicle in front of me. Sometimes I got to have the time as well. So there's a lot of factors that got to play into the whole aspect as far as whether or not I make a video on what you request. Otherwise, sometimes I would just reply back, leave a comment, explain it verbally the best I could. Otherwise, at this point, I want you to relax while I get my hands dirty. Alright, John, now this video is basically off of that question you had asked me earlier. Is removing the 8.4 touchscreen basically the same as if you were doing it on the regular radio? To answer that question, yes it is. But I thought I'd go ahead and do a video on the 8.4 anyway. So what we need to do is we're going to start with our basic trim stick. Get you a plastic set. They're fairly inexpensive. If you're going to do any kind of work on a dash, this is highly recommended. Now, in order to get this bezel off, you got to remove the lower bezel, because there are some attachment screws for here that you got to access through here. So we're going to get our trim stick and we're going to work around the edge here. We finally pop it loose. Alright, so now we've got that out of our way. We can actually go ahead and unplug it if we want. There we go. And now we've got our two Phillips screws located here and here. Now you can do a combination of two things. We'll use our trim stick around the outer edge, and we can even try to pull a little bit on this bottom if we need to try to get it loose. We can do both if we need. Like I said, the trim stick will work great. Now this vehicle has every bell and whistle you can think of, so there will be a connector and some switches right here along the lower edge. And now we're down to the 8.4-inch touchscreen. Now it's held in place with 4 Phillips screws. Now it's just a matter of pulling out on it. Now it's kind of misconceiving when you have a little you kind of get a false image of what it should be like. You would think it's going to be big and bulky. Actually, it's fairly short and not even deep at all. But on the back, you've got your main connectors for each one of your antennas. Everything from GPS to Sirius satellite to the actual radio antenna itself. Then you got some communication wires, which is the USB port that you've got located. And then you've got your main connector right here. On this main connector, what you do to release it is you've got to push in. On this side, you push in, it pops up. And as you pull up on this, it acts like a lever. It raises the connector up off the unit. So there we go. We've got the assembly out. Now to reinstall, make sure the connector, the arm is fully up. Lower it down. As you lower it down, that lever will start moving. And then what you can do is you'll start moving it yourself till finally it latches in place. Then we'll just go back to reinstalling all the connectors that we took loose earlier for all the antennas, as well as the USB cable. And there we go. Now all we got to do to reinstall it is sit it back up here in the housing, get some Phillips screws, and start tightening it down. Now, as you go back, all you're going to do is some gentle pats with your fist, for example, on your palm of your hand. You'll just lay it up here, give it a couple good taps. Make sure you put the 2 Phillips screws back in here, and then the same thing on here. Make sure you install the connector, line it up, a couple little gentle taps at the palm of your hand, nothing excessive. You don't want to damage it. So with that, hopefully it answers your question, John. As you saw, it's basically almost the same identical procedure. It's just you do have a larger radio, larger opening, but it is attached basically the same way. Alright, so hopefully as you saw in this video, the procedure is pretty cut and dry. There's nothing too elaborate or much different in removing an 8.4-inch touchscreen versus the other models of radios that come in this vehicle. Just one thing I highly stress over and over is your trim sticks. Make sure you get some trim sticks so that way you don't damage the soft material on the instrument panel itself or damage any of the plastic chrome trim. You can pick those up at any local parts store. They're fairly inexpensive, but in the end they're pretty much priceless. So thanks again for watching this video. Any kind of thumbs up, thumbs downs you want to leave, feel free to leave any questions or comments, because sometimes that's how these videos come about. Someone like, for example, John, when he asked a question about it, I decided to actually do an actual video on it instead of just responds back with a text or just words. Also, make sure you subscribe, because anytime you subscribe, you'll get notified when videos such as this come up. Maybe you've asked a question in the past, and here I go making a video of it. So that way you'll get notified that, hey, here's a response back in a video format. Awesome. They even mentioned me in the video. Stuff like that happen. So definitely subscribe. It's very important. So with that, I greatly appreciate you watching my videos. And as always, stay tuned for more.